Hello, I'm Brian Price. I'm the author of Crime Writing, How to Write the Science, a guide to the scientific aspects of crime for crime writers and crime readers who are interested. My writing journey is somewhat different, I suspect, from that of most of the people who are contributing to this series, because my output has been non-fiction. But I've been a crime fan for a very long time. I guess it started when a friend of mine lent me a copy of Featuring the Saint when I was 10, and I was absolutely knocked over by Leslie Charteris's work. Here you had a thriller, an exciting character, puzzles, you had daring do, you had a character who was not ashamed to break the rules even, and always got the villain to justice, and it was also very funny in places. So I was hooked on that, and I scoured the local library. I sneaked into the adult library, although I wasn't supposed to. I'd also spent a lot of time rummaging around the second-hand bookstores in Brixton Market, looking for copies of these and other crime and thriller books. One of the books which did catch my eye, which I remember and subsequently bought from my forays into Brixton Library, was this one. It's an omnibus of Dr. Thorndyke stories by R. Austin Freeman. And he was an author who wrote in the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. His character was a lawyer and medical man, and he used science as well as reasoning to solve the crimes. And I was absolutely fascinated because of all these technical things which thought, gosh, that's clever. And in fact, I know it's probably heresy in some parts, I preferred him to Sherlock Holmes, who obviously I also read. So I continued to read crime while I was a young person and young adult. And one other book which did influence me, if you like, and stuck in my mind for future reference, was Ian Flemings' You Only Live Twice. And in that story, James Bond encounters a garden full of toxic plants rather, set up by Blofeld, as it turns out to be, and he's encouraging people in Japan to come along and commit suicide there. And I was fascinated by the description of all these plants, types of poisons, what they did, and kind of filed it for future reference. Well, I took the science pathway at school. My English teacher did want me to do English literature for A-level, but I didn't really fancy dissecting Jane Austen and went into chemistry instead. And obviously things on poisons and toxicology do come up. I worked for a long time in the environment area, and you do need to know about the effects of poisons and things on animals and people. But I continued with that sort of work and ended up working for the Environment Agency. One lunchtime, I wandered over the road to Bristol Central Library and saw a poster for Crime Fest. And I thought, well, that looks really interesting. I like crime stuff and I like science, and let's go along and see what it's about. And I was really pleasantly surprised to find out how approachable authors were. You'd see people mingling in the bar with fans, answering questions, chatting, having a drink. You had them presenting their work at panels, and I was really knocked over. I thought it would be nice to try and get involved in this, and I didn't have any aspirations to write fiction at the time. I'd written a couple of short books on pollution for Friends of the Earth and the like subsequent in the past, but I decided it might be an idea to help people avoid some of the irritating errors in science which do occasionally creep into people's writing, not through negligence, but it's just there are commonly received errors about how weapons are silenced and the effects of chloroform and that. So I thought I'll set up a website, and I started this when I retired, offering tips on science for writers, covering things like firearms explosions and what have you. And having done that, I sort of offered my services as a helper, and I believe I helped a number of leading writers. And my wife said, well, look, you like writing, you've got this website, why not turn it into a book? And that's duly what I did. So we've got the Crime Writing, How to Write the Science book. I became a member of the Crime Writers Association, which I'm really pleased to be. And also I've been going to a number of festivals clearly before lockdown, meeting authors, meeting fans, and generally enjoying myself. Now, however, I have turned my hand to fiction. I have a novel I'm seeking to publish, working title Fatal Trade, but that, of course, is another story.